When people picture the fall of Rome, they usually imagine savage barbarians, collapsing armies, or emperors being poisoned in their palaces. But the truth is this: empires don't collapse only because of external attacks. They rot from within. And the biggest cause of that rot is money. Rome didn't fall because of invasions or failed emperors. It fell because its money lost its value. And Rome's downfall serves as a perfect lesson for today's modern governments that think we can just print more money, manipulate interest rates, and no one will notice. Let's imagine the scene. For centuries, the backbone of the Roman economy was a silver coin called the denarius. It was first minted in 211 BC and was made almost entirely of pure silver. Soldiers were paid with it. Merchants refused to accept any other currency. Ordinary people tried to save their wealth in it. The denarius wasn't just money, it was a silver certificate of trust. As long as the money was strong, Rome was strong. But empires aren't cheap to run. Armies demanded their pay. Roads had to be paved, aqueducts built, wars fought endlessly. And when taxes were no longer enough, emperors turned to their classic trick: cutting costs. Raising taxes angered the people, so they reduced the silver content in the denarius. At first, no one noticed. But the numbers told the story. During the reign of Augustus, the denarius was 95% silver. By the time of Caracalla, that number had fallen to 50%. And under Gallienus, it dropped to less than 5%. What had once been a shining silver coin was now a worthless bronze token. People felt and saw the difference in their daily lives. Inflation grew like a monster. The amount of wheat that once cost 1 denarius now required dozens. Soldiers demanded higher pay, saying, "These coins aren't enough." Merchants refused to accept the worthless money. Ordinary people reverted to bartering. Goods were traded for goods. When trust disappeared, emperors tried to fix the problem by printing even more money. They thought more coins would preserve value. It didn't. This vicious cycle peaked between AD 235 and 284, known in history as the crisis of the 3rd century. For 50 years, Rome was in chaos. Enemy invasions. Massive civil wars. Plagues. Emperors replacing one another, some murdered after only months on the throne. And behind all of this was one cause: a collapsing monetary system. Tax collectors gathered worthless coins. Farmers abandoned their lands, saying this money is useless. Trade networks broke down. The government, desperate and panicked, tried everything: fixing prices, making labor mandatory, forcing people to work under strict laws and punishments. But once money collapses, no law can hold a nation together. Then came Diocletian, declaring, "I will fix this," and he issued one of the harshest economic decrees in history, the Edict on Maximum Prices, AD 301. Thousands of goods and services were assigned fixed prices. "Anyone who sells for more than this, dies," he said. Yes, you heard that right, the death penalty. And the result? A complete disaster. When your currency is already worthless, setting artificial price limits doesn't stop the market simply goes underground. Black markets exploded. Official trade collapsed. And despite the emperor's efforts, the people had finally realized, no law can fix worthless money. In the end, the denarius was completely abandoned. Around AD 312, Emperor Constantine introduced a new pure gold coin called the solidus. This coin brought some stability and was used by the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantium, for centuries. But by then, it was too late. The Western Roman Empire was finished. When money collapses, armies disappear, trade falls apart, trust vanishes, and another empire dies. So what lesson does this story teach us today? It's simple: when money collapses, the state collapses with it. Rome thought, if we mint coins that look the same but are worth less, no one will notice. Sadly, today's governments are doing the exact same thing, only with more advanced technology and different methods. They print paper, they manipulate interest rates, they pay off debt with more debt. And they believe no one will notice. But what does history tell us? The outcome is always the same: the people pay the price. And Rome's example is not the only one. This movie has been replayed many times. Weimar Germany, 1923. After World War I, Germany printed money to ease its burden of war reparations. And the result was catastrophic. The price of a loaf of bread rose from 1 mark to 200 billion marks. People carried their wages in wheelbarrows. Retirees lost every penny they had saved throughout their lives. Meanwhile, debtors benefited. Their debts evaporated. Landowners and those holding gold grew richer. Exactly like in Rome.
Zimbabwe, 2008. The government seized land from property owners by force, and the economy collapsed. Their solution? Of course, just print more money. And the result? Once again, disaster. Annual inflation reached 89.76 trillion%. Your brain can't even process that number, can it? Prices doubled every single day. Supermarkets couldn't print price tags fast enough. People literally threw their worthless money into the trash. They began living using US dollars and South African rand instead. The same mistake, the same result, every time. Now you might say, okay, but those are obvious examples from the past. Things like that could never happen in today's developed countries. But, are you sure about that? The United States, 1971. President Nixon made a historic change. He detached the US dollar from gold. In other words, he said, money is now backed only by trust in the government, not by any real asset. And from that moment, the same pattern began again. Debts grew beyond measure. The dollar lost value. Inflation crept upward quietly, step by step. Maybe we don't need wheelbarrows to carry our money today. But if something that cost $1 in 1971 now costs $6, that's the same silent theft, only slower and more sophisticated. The bills and coins may look the same. But ask yourself, is their value the same? One of the oldest and most dangerous tricks governments use is this: make inflation look like economic growth. Raise prices while pretending wages are rising too, convince people to take on more debt, let the stock market boom after ordinary people leave it, to create the illusion of national wealth. That's exactly what Roman emperors did. And it's exactly what's happening again today. Do you know what's truly frightening? This time, the next crisis won't strike just one country. Rome was local. Weimar was national. Zimbabwe was regional. But today? Every nation on earth uses paper money. Global debt is at record highs. And central banks are once again standing by, ready to print trillions the moment panic begins. Which means, the next collapse won't just belong to one empire. It will belong to the entire world. So what can we do, as individuals? Here are the 3 most important lessons from Rome's crisis. Inflation is not an accident. It's a hidden tax, a policy designed to take your wealth without you noticing. Real wealth is never stored on paper. It's stored in tangible things: land, production, skills, resources. Never trust a currency. Every person who once said our money will never collapse lived to see it collapse. If you had told people these things during their golden ages, they would have laughed at you. Tell a Roman at the empire's height that their money will soon be worthless, they'd laugh. Tell someone in 1913 Germany that they'll one day carry their salary in a wheelbarrow, they'd call you crazy. Tell someone in 1980s Zimbabwe that they'll be throwing their cash in the trash, they wouldn't believe it. But each and every one of those events happened. The story of Rome's downfall should teach us this: when money loses its real value, society falls apart. Chaos and crisis always follow. You can't destroy a strong nation from the outside, the most effective collapse always comes from within. And here's the truth: history doesn't repeat itself exactly like a mirror, but if you fail to recognize the pattern, it will crush you just the same. Rome's monetary collapse wasn't just a story of war or turmoil, it was a warning about how fragile money becomes when it's mismanaged. And that fragility still exists today. If this video gave you a new perspective, make sure to follow the channel, because history hides all the answers, and I'll keep revealing them to you, one story at a time.